Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Letting Go of Her podcast. Um, so, forgive me if this episode is going to sound a little unprepared. That's because it is. I had a whole different episode that I recorded yesterday while I was in the car while my son was napping, and I was waiting for my daughter to get out of school. But today, just the Holy Spirit, the Holy Spirit is convicting me. And I think that this is something that I need to talk about and something that I really need to share with everyone. So today is my daughter's birthday. She turns 7 years old. Well, I guess today, the day that I'm recording this, is my daughter's birthday. She's turning 7 years old. And I have been an emotional wreck for the last like 2, 3 days ish, just like thinking about like her being a baby and like holding her as a newborn. Um, and now that she's like 7 and getting older, and it just like makes you think like, oh my goodness, like, you know, today she wanted her best friends to come over for pizza and donuts, and I said okay, sure, and it just like makes me think like, oh man, like she's making her own decisions, like she has her own group of friends. She is like growing up, right? Like this is maybe one of the last few birthdays where she's going to want a family party, or she's going to want like toys for presents, right? Like, and it makes me extremely emotional thinking about it, cuz she's grown up, and it goes by so fast. So fast. And my son, he's 2, he's almost 2.5, and I remember her being that age and how much fun we had. We would have a blast. We would go everywhere, we would do everything. It was just, always her and I, and it was so much fun. My son gets to be, or has to be, pulled around here and there because I have her and she has school and she has activities and stuff, and we still have fun. But with her and I, it was just like, it was a blast. We were literally at Disneyland like at least once a week. I even flew her to Walt Disney World by myself one time, and we were there for about 5 days. And oh, it was a blast. But I'm just remembering all these memories and just thinking about, when you're in them, like when you're in the moment, you feel like time is going by really slow. But when you look at it on like the grand scheme of things, like time has gone by so fast. Like I still think about the time when we flew out to Walt Disney World, and I was like, man, and I remember getting upset with her because she was asking me for something and I didn't know what she was asking me for. She was like, Mom, Cheerio, Cheerio, Cheerio. And I was like, Cheerios? I was like, one, when have you ever had Cheerios? And two, where the heck am I going to find Cheerios out here? But what she was really asking for was a churro. And I felt really bad because I did like yell at her. I was like, Logan, I'm like, I can't get you Cheerios here. um, and then she started to cry, and then it like dawned on me. I was like, she's not asking for Cheerios, she's asking for a churro, right? And so I found her churro and she ate it. And I think I bought her like 10 more before we came home because I was like, my poor baby, all she wanted was a churro. And I didn't understand what she was saying. But anyways, I love that little girl. She's a blast. She woke up this morning and I had balloons for her, and we bought her like a little birthday crown, and she was so excited because on Thursdays she has chapel, and then I think she said they go to computer lab. No, they go to library or something. And then she was like, "Oh, I'm so excited because on Thursdays like they sing happy birthday, so they're going to sing happy birthday to me at the cafeteria, and they're going to sing happy birthday to me at the chapel." And she was just like super excited. She was like wearing her crown loud and proud and wanted everyone to see that it was her birthday to wish her a happy birthday. Obviously my daughter and I are two complete opposites because I will do anything to hide, but she will do anything to stand out, which I absolutely love. But anyways, before I keep ranting about my daughter, I'm going to get into what I really want to talk about this episode. Other than me being extremely emotional, though, I am extremely anxious. And I kind of want to get into that a little bit. So, when my daughter was turning 4 at her fourth birthday party, there was an incident that happened between family. I'm not going to get too much into details, but it's something that happened in between family that caused us to become estranged to this part of the family. Um, and it was essentially like more hurtful for me because I thought that I was doing my best to make amends and to be kind and be welcoming to this specific person. And when something was done to me, I was a little bit like in shock. I was like, oh wow, I thought that we were in better terms than that, right? um and my husband stepped up, and my husband defended me. And my husband, yeah, my husband was like, wait, that's that's my wife. um and what the crazy part was that I didn't even know that something was going on. It wasn't until like a few weeks later when I was talking to a friend. um and it wasn't in a gossip conversation. I was just talking to this friend about, the party and what was going on. And she was like, well, yeah, that's because, this happened. And I was like, wait, what? And that was when I found out about what had actually happened and what my husband did. And I asked him, I was like, wait, did this actually happen? And he said yes. And so I was like, okay, well, obviously you were there. Um, can you explain to me like what happened? And so he did. And that made me uh, extremely angry, but also I was extremely hurt. Because like, we get hurt because we assume that people are gonna do the same to us that we would. I don't know if that's making sense. The saying like, do unto you as you do unto others as you'd want to do unto you, or whatever it is. So like I would never disrespect someone that way. And so I was hurt because I'm like, wow, like what did I do to deserve that disrespect, right? And I went through a couple of months of just like anger and honestly and bitterness. Um, but not towards the person you would expect. I wasn't angry and I wasn't bitter towards the person who did wrong onto me. I was more angry and bitter towards my own husband. And I was angry because this was probably the first time that my husband had actually stood up for me. Um, and I couldn't forgive him for all the instances in the past, right? Like to me, it was like, why did it need to get to this level for you to finally say something? And I was angry. In my head, it was like, why did it take this long? Why did it have to get to this level? Why didn't you believe me before? Why didn't you see it before? Because it had been, oh, how long? 7 years, almost 8 years, that I had been, I don't want to use the word abused, but that I had been picked on by this certain person. And I was angry, and I couldn't find it in me to forgive my husband. Um because to me it was like, I had to deal with all of this. um and for you to just be like, oh, it's fine, right? Like my husband and I are completely opposite. For me, I tend to dwell on things and I tend to overthink things, but my husband is like, okay, and and just moves on. He moves on from things a lot faster than I do. But I think that's most men, maybe. As women, we like to dwell on things and be a little bitter, right? But I yeah, for months I was just angry. And I had this like bitterness towards my own husband, that I wasn't, in my head, I was thinking like I wasn't enough to say something before, or that he didn't love me enough to say something before, which are things that are completely untrue. But that is just how the enemy likes to come into your head, right? And the enemy likes to tell you all these things. And it likes to feed into your insecurities, right? Like for me, growing up, I always thought that I was unlovable. So the enemy was telling me, like, well, your husband didn't love you enough to say something before, which was not true. Um, my husband just at that point wasn't a believer, right? And he he didn't know and didn't understand that something was being wrong until he realized, like, oh no, wait, the person who comes first is God, but second is my wife, right? It doesn't matter who is, or who I came from or where I came from. Like the person who comes after that is my wife. So truly, like I couldn't blame him for something that he didn't know, right? In my mind, I was like, wait, I come first, right? um, but he hadn't understood that. So essentially, I was holding this anger, and this bitterness over something that he didn't understand before, right? So I was causing my own disappointment per se. Um, but needless to say, this event was traumatic, and there is this book called The Body Keeps Score, and it's by Dr. something, something, something. I don't know the name. I remember reading it, and it was saying how sometimes there are like specific dates that you start to feel anxious over because your body remembers that something traumatic happened around those dates. Um, but I want to say that I don't believe in that. I also want to kind of go back to that episode that I talked about, where I said you don't have anxiety, but you give yourself anxiety. So for me, I think that the reason, now I'm probably 100% incorrect, but this is what the Holy Spirit is telling me right now. This is the conviction that I'm feeling. I feel that I am still anxious around this day, around my daughter's birthday, because of the incident, but not specifically because of the incident, but because I still hold some unforgiveness in my heart. I feel that to some degree, I've forgiven my husband, and also to some degree, I've forgiven this person. But I feel that the reason why I still hold that anxiety, it's not because my body remembers the trauma. Um, I think it's because I remember that I am holding something against these people. A lot of our anxiety comes from fear, but it also comes from shame. There's a really good book called Shame is a Liar, which coincidentally has a brother book called Fear is a Liar. And it's really good at getting to like the nitty gritty of like, why is it that you feel fear and why is it that you feel shame? And it's because there's some sort of unforgiveness or there's some sort of sin that we're not ready and willing to let go of. And that's what causes the shame and that's what causes the fear. And it also talks about how the enemy likes to feed into that. The enemy likes to continuously remind us of these things that have happened or the things that people have done to us, that keep us locked in that cycle of feeling that fear and of feeling that shame. So for me, I feel that somewhere in my heart, the Holy Spirit is convicting me right now that I still hold some sort of unforgiveness towards someone. I don't know yet because in my mind, I'm thinking, I already forgave my husband. I already forgave that person, right? But I wouldn't be feeling this way if there wasn't still something there. And isn't it amazing and beautiful how the Lord just like works our body that way, right? You know, to me, like if I tell my therapist, like, oh, I'm feeling anxiety over my daughter's birthday, right? She would say, like, oh, well, it's because your body remembers, right? Your body remembers what happened. And so you're feeling anxious and you're afraid that it's going to happen again. But truly, what I think it is, now again, I might be just talking out of my butt right now. But what I think it is that I still hold some sort of bitterness, resentment, anger, and unforgiveness towards the people who did me wrong on my daughter's on my daughter's birthday. And honestly, as I'm saying this out loud, I am feeling the anxiety just being lifted off of me. Like, how amazing is our God, right? That He speaks to us in a way that we have to listen, that we have no choice but to listen. The way that God speaks to me when He wants me to change something in my heart is through anxiety. It's through me feeling all these sensations in my body and me trying to overthink over, is it this, is it that, is it this, is it that, when really it's so simple. When really it's not that I'm gonna have a heart attack. When really it's not that I'm gonna have this or I'm gonna have that or this is gonna happen to me or that's gonna happen to me. Really what it is that I'm holding on to something that the Lord saw and that the Lord has taken care of or will take care of. It, that there's a problem that is no longer mine to hold on to anymore. And it's been 3 years. 3 years. And for the last 3 years, on this day, I always get anxious. And it's not because I'm afraid that they're going to do it again. It's just because I haven't learned to let it go. And now I'm getting emotional because it reminds me of the love that the Lord has for me. And he loves me so much that he doesn't want me to hold on to this anymore. He loves me so much that he wants me to let go of this. He's telling me, relax, like enjoy your daughter's birthday. Enjoy that little girl that I gave to you. Enjoy my little girl that I gave to you. And forget about what other people have done or what other people didn't do or how long it took someone to do something or what someone said. Like just learn to let it go and learn to enjoy the gift that I have given you. And that gift is my daughter and his daughter. So it just like makes me think like how many of us still have an unforgiving heart? And how many of us are still holding on to things and it's being presented in a different kind of way, right? Like for me, like I said, it's presented in anxiety. The Lord speaks to me through my anxiety because he knows that when I am anxious, that's the only time I'm truly going to listen. So how does the Lord speak to you? Is it maybe like a job loss? Is it maybe anxiety as well, or when you're feeling depressed? Like how does the Lord speak to you when you think it's something else, but truly it's the Lord trying to make a change in your heart? I mean, we all know that the Lord gives us trials in order to help us grow, right? Like sometimes it's not um, because we've done something bad or punishment or anything like that. It's simply because He wants us to grow and He wants us to trust in Him more. And for me, that's through my anxiety because when I am anxious, there's no one else that I can turn to, nothing else that's going to make me feel better but being present with the Lord and just giving it to the Lord. Like, okay, this is how my body wants to feel right now. These are the thoughts that are running through my head. Lord, please remove them. Please take them away because I know that you can. So, truly, right now my prayer my prayer for myself, I'm going to selfishly pray for myself, is that the Lord help me let go, just let go of that bitterness and let go of that resentment that I've still been holding on to and what's causing me to feel the anxiety during this time, and it's taken away from the joy of the day. You don't have anxiety, but you give yourself anxiety. And right now, I don't have anxiety, but I'm giving myself anxiety. And why is that? Because I'm not fully, or I haven't fully forgiven. Lord, right now, I pray that you take away that resentment and you take away that bitterness and that you just help me fully forgive the person who did me wrong, and fully forgive my husband because you saw what happened, you heard what happened, and you've taken care of it, and there's no reason for me to hold on to that anymore because it's done. It's done and it's over with. We are past that. We're all in a way better place than we were back then, and something like that had to happen in order for my husband to see, in order for my husband to grow. So for that, I am grateful. I am grateful that this incident happened so that my husband could see. And I'm also grateful for this incident because it helped turn the heart of this person. Um, so I just pray that the same way that this incident changed the heart in my husband and this person, it can change the heart for me, and just making me realize that this is just a beautiful day to celebrate the birth of my daughter. But mainly, it's a beautiful day to glorify you because you gave me my daughter and you gave me my husband and you gave me the family that we're in. And I pray that we are able to show the love of Jesus. Lord, I pray that you just remove this bitterness, remove this anger so that I can be more like your son. And I pray for anyone out there who maybe this episode has made you realize, like, oh, I'm still holding on to that. I'm still a little bit bitter about that. I'm still angry and full of resentment over that. I pray that one, you're able to show the person listening what it is that they need to let go of, but also remind them that you've already taken care of it, that it's in your hands, that they can just breathe and relax. Release all of that to you because you love them so much. And how much do you love us that you use these moments to draw us closer to you? And that is something that we should all always 100% be so grateful for. That even in our moments of anger and bitterness and resentment, you use those moments to draw us near. And we love you so much. Today, I am learning to let go of that anger, of that resentment, the bitterness, of the unforgiveness in my heart. Because truly, it's only me. It's only myself giving myself this anxiety. It's no one else. It's nothing else. And if it is, I'm giving way too much power to that when truly I should be giving the power to God. Because I am a new creation.